Hey, it's been about a week and a half since the last episode I did with Kayong, and now today I'm alone. It's like every episode we go down like one man. Sooner or later the next episode will just be nobody on the podcast. But we were supposed to have guests on, me and Kayong, but some things happened, so the last minute we had to postpone it, and then Kayong had work to do. So I decided how about this week's episode will just be me covering some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about, and things I have noted down. So this new little segment, I don't know whether it would be something that you guys would want to listen to or something that I want to do in the future, but it will just be me talking about some stuff and giving my perspective on certain issues that are happening in the world today, or just some stupid ideas that I have lah. You can leave down what you think also in the comment section down below if you're listening on YouTube, and if you're listening on Spotify, just give us a follow on YPN, and you can leave your comments down on Instagram as well. So this new segment will be a little bit shorter, just based on the fact because I'm by myself. And so doing things by yourself is a little bit more different because there's nobody giving you a back and forth. It's just me like ranting, honestly just ranting and saying stuff, plucking stuff out of my head. So I'm not very, very good at this yet. This is a muscle lah. I think it's a ranting muscle that you need to develop, but let's see how things go. Thank you so much for listening if you are listening. So let's jump right into the first topic that I have here. So I think what a lot of Singaporeans are aware of and have seen is recently in the last week there was a parliament sitting. I think a couple of days ago. This happened in 14th of September? I think 14th of September. Yeah, 14th of September. And then it was like a 10-hour long parliament sitting, which is fucking crazy. Like imagine you sitting to a 2-hour meeting and you really think it's too long. This was 13 hours. This was 10 hours long. I think with the breaks it was like around 13 hours. So that's crazy. And particularly this issue was came up during when they were speaking about some FTA agreement with India between NCMP Leong Mun Wai and K Shanmugam, our law minister. But the focus of the issue wasn't this two. It was on Vivian Balakrishnan, who was caught saying some disrespectful remarks about Leong Mun Wai on a live mic that he didn't know that was live in the parliament. So, these kind of things don't really happen a lot in Singapore, especially when our ministers are always politically correct. But let's give this what was actually heard, what was actually captured on the mic, and what Vivian Balakrishnan was saying. I can't really show you the screen, the video on screen now because just based on the capabilities that I have, but I can let you listen to the video. So let's give it a listen. Let me try to do this. Okay.
He's illiterate.
No, sorry, Speaker sir, I still want
Mr.
to respond. Yeah.
Mr. Yusof.
Okay, thank you.
Firstly,
okay, so the first part was like, is he like illiterate? And then they skip to the next part where Vivian Balakrishnan was caught saying, how did he get into RI? It must have been a lousy school. My first impression was I laughed out so hard because we don't see this all the time, right? Like ministers being caught with their pants down. And it's like, this is Friday night, drinks with your friends kind of comments, which I love, right? Like people say things off the record that you don't really normally hear because these people, they are very public, they have to keep their public image, right? Especially for somebody like Vivian Balakrishnan, who is like the foreign minister. PR is super duper important to him. And PAP always like, they are known for picking people that can say the right stuff at the right time, to not put them in the difficult position, whereas this was like, holy shit, this is completely our character. I laughed because if this was opposition member saying this about PAP candidate, everybody would go like, right on, man, keep it going, attack the PAP. But because this is PAP and we all have this common conception that the PAP is like on this moral high ground, they're supposed to have more class, they can't stoop down to these kind of levels to insult the opposition members, right? This is not the case. You can see that there's a little bit of tension between the opposition and PAP. Usually is very respectful. Honestly, when you listen to the parliamentary sittings, although it can be heated, they always respect each other. Only when a few times when they get a little bit angry, then they put on a little bit of a show lah. But this was one of the things that I felt, was kind of interesting. People were saying this is like like the elitism in Singapore being exposed, but I don't see that point. In fact, the comment by Vivian Balakrishnan seems to be a lot more personal than it is exposing some kind of like greater ideology that is going on. He was attacking Leong Mun Wai's ability to process information. I'm guessing sometimes they get a little bit agitated too, because sometimes the sessions go on for a very long time and they just and there's something that they're not really involved in, but they still have to see it through, I guess. So it's pretty. Let's break it down, right? Like, he's illiterate. That is definitely a personal comment, right? There's nothing against any school in per se or any institution. The second one was like, how did he get into RI? Personal shot. That means he acknowledges that RI is not an easy school to get into. You need to have a certain level of IQ, score a certain score. I don't know whether they were doing like, I think they did O levels back then also. I don't know what's the cutoff at that point in time, but right now it's like 3 points, fucking crazy. It's like the lowest amount of points you can possibly get in O levels to get into RI. Or you have to be from the secondary school, the boys' school, right, or girls' school. So yeah, so the second part of the comment is also personal. The third one was like, must have been a lousy school. Now that's where I think sarcasm came into play. Nobody in their right mind would be able to say RI is not a good school. That would be fucking crazy. That doesn't make any sense, right? So breaking down the 3 portions, I don't see where this idea of like every school is a good school breaks down. You know, people are saying like every school is a good school, my ass. Everybody knows, right, there are levels of schools. Every school, you know, you might not be in the best school in terms of like the students that are the smartest, but I think it's still, every school in Singapore is pretty decent. They get a good amount of support. Especially speaking from my point of view, which I came from a neighborhood school, for primary school, secondary school. JC was kind of like a neighborhood JC, Serangoon JC, which kind of closed down. I really didn't feel like I was in a bad school at any point in time. I felt like if I wanted support, the teachers were there. Most of the times the schools are bad because the students, the background the students come from. Now that might be, that's where you will get like the normal, like, or the people that are around your kid, because of the way the habits they have might rub off on your kid. But I don't think the school itself is bad. It's filled with really dedicated teachers. Very, even the administrative staff super supportive. So yeah, I don't think that point that people says elitism from this point, I think that I don't get it lah. Yeah, but if you do, please let me know in the comment section down below. So moving on to the next point, the next issue that I want to talk about. So in the last 1 or 2 weeks, since we kind of got away from the heightened alert, I guess we kind of see the cases rising, right? And then people are kind of concerned that, are we going to roll things back? This is where, and everybody should kind of know that I'm like, I voted for PAP lah. I'm pro-government, majority of I'm pro-PAP, the ruling party in Singapore, on stances that I think is logical. But if we roll back the things now, that's something that I disagree with. I've really said this on multiple times. You know, for us to take the vaccine, what was pitched to us was, once you take it, the benefit was we could open things up, right? And it was kind of pitched to us in a way whereby we thought when we took the vaccine, we couldn't get the virus anymore. So there was like a sneaky play over there. Then once like a lot of people got the vaccine, it was like, no, you still can get the virus. It's just that the symptoms are less pronounced, which I thought was like, this is kind of iffy really. The definition of a vaccine in my head was like, once I got it, I could never be able to contract the virus. But then that's not the case now, right? So the one case now kind of means less than what one case meant last time previously, because of, even though we have so many cases now, not many people are falling that seriously ill. So I think it's something that we have to live with, right? We can't roll things back really. People are already on the knife's edge. For me, I'm on a knife's edge. I want to live my life. When I see a kid that's 4 years old yesterday, wearing a mask, walking around, I was like, yo, he has been wearing a mask since he was two as a toddler. Until now he can't, even till this day, he can't run around with his friends. play around. And that's a very, very big part of childhood, right? We have to be able to go out, play with our friends. This is like the worst time to be growing up as an active kid in school. How long has it been since people that want to play sports, for example, been around kicking a football around, playing basketball 5-on-5, dancing in a big group, singing in a choir with many people around, with a fucking mask on? When was the last time we could do that? I understand we're trying to protect life, but at the same time, is this really living? I do not know. If we are afraid to die so much, are we really living, right? Or are we just existing throughout the time that we are protecting the lives here? So I really don't know, but I'm against things rolling back to really. There are a lot more factors rather than just reducing the case count. And the case count is a number, but what we don't see is the people losing their jobs in the gig economy, the people that are not employed and rely on part-time jobs. All these things we don't see. So before we say that we should lock things down, let us try to think, are we going to live in fear for so long? Because this thing is going to stay with us, man. It's not going to just disappear, especially with the vaccines. They are telling you you still can contract it. They are not even sure if you take the vaccine, do you have a lower chance of contracting the disease and transmitting the disease. They're not even sure of that, right? So people will say you should err on the side of caution then. But I'm saying, hey, if you're not falling sick, even though you test positive, what are we doing here? Kind of seems like a normal code to me, right? From today onwards, if you test positive and you're fully vaccinated and you don't have very big symptoms, you can stay at home, self-quarantine, and then test again. Sounds like a common flu to me. Common flu, if you get the flu, they just tell you to stay at home. Don't come into close contact with others so that you don't pass on the flu. Right, that's what I'm saying. And I'm fully vaxxed, by the way. Alright, I'm not some anti-vaxxers that wants the government to open up. I say most Singaporeans have really done their job. If there is no reward for doing that job, people are going to lose faith. Alright, on to the next point. Let's pivot now. So Disney Channel is going to be removing a lot of its, almost all of its content from Singtel and StarHub, right? So Disney Channel, Fox Sports, Fox Movies, National Geographic, for example, they're all going to be pulled from Singtel and StarHub. This was kind of announced in April already, but they're going to enforce this by the end of the month. I think 1st October is the last day. And this is big, right? Most of the times we subscribe to cable is to get all access to these premium channels, and now they're just going to remove it. So why are we subscribing to cable? Like, what's the value there? I do not know. So that day I had to go and search up, like, is Singtel going to be replacing any of these channels? Because I subscribe, and my family subscribes to cable, to the sports package, specifically because we want to watch tennis, UFC, F1 on Fox Sports. But now that you're removing all of this, what is the value, right? So I went to see what they're replacing it with, and they were going to replace it with like sporting events, just coverage of sporting events. For example, they listed down tennis and table tennis. Table tennis and badminton, because they don't have the rights to tennis. Tennis is owned, most of the tennis events are owned by Fox Sports. So I was like, yo, why are we even subscribing to it then? Right? And I think, this might be painful for us now, but thinking about it a little bit more, this might be good. So if Disney manages to consolidate all these things, right, and provide live sports on Disney Plus, this will be a game changer, right? Now, you can get all your Disney shows, get all your live sports, get National Geographic, your movies, all on Disney Plus. You cut out the middleman, which is StarHub and Singtel, which, in all honesty, I think they've been jacking up the prices for way too long. Now with internet, bro, changes the game. So I think this has gotten Singtel and StarHub to be a little bit panicky. Now they can't charge you twice for the internet and the cable. Now they can only charge you for the internet. So this is very interesting. I thought it's kind of, we want to see how this thing pans out, right, for Disney. Disney is so big, so powerful. The only thing they were really lacking was fighting Netflix in this aspect. And Netflix doesn't even have anything live. Now Disney has live coverage of certain events, especially sports. If they can package that in, that's crazy, right? That's crazy. So sorry about that. That's work stuff. Don't mind that. I'm still working a little bit now too, but yeah, so there's one thing that I thought was very, very interesting. And I think it will impact a lot of people's lives and impact us in the future, and something we'll be talking about a couple months from now, seeing how Disney will package all these things. So there's about 15 minutes of me just talking about 3 important things that I wanted to cover during this short little podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I think as a first try, I think I did, man, but I need to go and re-listen to how I looked and how I expressed myself to see whether should I be talking a little bit faster, a little bit slower, how are my gestures. But this is a skill that I want to hone. And if I can actually do this, then we can actually be doing podcasts a little bit more often, because sometimes it's difficult for me and Kai Yong to kind of like match our schedules and get guests on. But I always want to do a podcast. It's just that, sometimes it's not easy, especially when you're a 2-man team. So we'll see how this goes, and see how it progresses from here. But if you listen to this point, thank you so much. Right now, I'm going to put an end to this podcast. Thank you guys. Bye.